guys, welcome back to In Case of Econ Struggles. Welcome to another Sunday Stata tip. Today we are talking about how to read in a limited version of your data. This is super useful if you're working with a large data set and you've got a lot of things to run on that data set, but you're not really sure if all of that code is going to work. And if you try to run that on the overall larger data set, it could take you a lot of time just to find an error. So this is a really good way to test your code. It's also a good way to explore some of that larger data with, again, not having to wait for Stata to read in the whole thing. So here is my path. I'm just going to take this data from a student I've worked with in the past. So here's this data, and you can see that if I describe this data, we're going to have a lot of variables and a lot of observations. So if I go to the top of the describe command, we've got 10,051, which you might say maybe that's not too many, but let's imagine that this was 9,488,000. This was 51,000 variables. So how can I make this data set more manageable when I'm just poking around or when I'm testing my code? Well, the first thing I can do is I can read in a set number of rows. To do that, I'm going to say use in, and then this is row number 1. This is the last row I want to read in. So this is going to read in the first 100 observations. Let's go ahead and do that. And then I can hit another describe. It looks like all the variables are there, but when we scroll to the top, you can see that we only have 100 observations. And we can do the same thing for 200 observations. We can do the same thing for n observations. And as you get more confident that your code is working, you can make this bigger to make sure that you're capturing sort of anything weird that might be happening in the data. And if that works, then you can just take this away and run your code on the full data set and you'll be good to go. You can also read in a limited number of variables. So let's say that I just want these variables. Those are the only variables I want to look at right now. So I can go ahead and go like this. And notice that when I say describe again, we're only going to have the variables that I specified in this use statement here. So the syntax is use, the variables you want, and then using, and then your data, and then clear. Now you'll notice that if I can read in a limited number of rows and a limited number of variables, I should be able to put them together, and I can. So in this example, I am going to read in those same variables we just read in, but only for the first 200 rows. So I'll do that and describe the data, and you can see, lo and behold, 200 observations, the only 6 variables that we used. And so if I wanted to run some code on this limited data, it would run super fast. I could find any errors pretty easily, could fix those errors, then I could expand the number of observations, expand the variables I'm using, and then once I'm sure my code works, I would just take these statements away, and then I would run my code on this full data, and I would be good to go. So hopefully this gives you an easy way to read in limited data and make your debugging process work faster. If this was helpful, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time for another case of Econ Struggles.